party started. Let's go. Good to see you.
Ryan, you want to say something on the camera?
Good morning, Million Cups. It's good to be here.
Ben said he wanted a candid shot, so I figured that was about as candid as we get.
He's still going to ask how many people it's their first time. I don't want to do that count.
You good? Welcome to 1 Million Cups, everyone. I promise you are in the right place, as I say every week. This is a weekly event that we host that really is a neat opportunity of energizing yourself midway through the week. And as entrepreneurs, we know it's a little bit of a lonely roller coaster. So being able to energize midway through the week is just so cool. Being around other folks who are building things they're passionate about is so easy to like. And so like I mentioned, you are in the right place. One thing we like to do is make sure we see who's here for the first time. This could be a little fun. We've got a counter in the wings, so keep your hands up if you're here for the first time. We like to keep that information.
Oh, dang.
We'll give the next 10 minutes for this. So as you keep your hands up, let me tell you about how our format usually works. In fact, today's going to be somewhat similar, just with somewhat of a special guest, right? We have entrepreneurs share what they're building for 6 to 10 minutes. And so after a super short, concise pitch, it becomes our turn to ask questions and provide feedback and really at the core accelerate others. And so today we'll have more of a fireside chat. The community asks questions beforehand, but when you return next week, prepare to get your hand in the air and challenge these folks. Because as builders, we often get in bubbles, and it can become easy to see the tree and forget the forest. And so this is a really neat opportunity for folks to share what they're building, and in turn, the community help out. As most of us probably know, we have a very special guest today. Governor Kim Reynolds is here to share the state of entrepreneurship in our state. And so she's going to come up and do a presentation, and then we'll enjoy a little fireside chat. I'm trying to think, well, we should definitely thank our sponsors. Behind me, you'll notice all sorts of folks who are community-driven and believe in what we're doing here. Square One, as our lead sponsor, always steps up with the Greater Des Moines Partnership. It's good to see those folks here all the time. Drake University, Drake Homes, and then this collection of other folks who just really believe, I think, in this movement. One last thing, 1 Million Cups is not just Des Moines. We were second 6 years ago, but there's 170 of these around the country, all hosting an event right now on Wednesday morning. And there's 50 just in this region and 4 in Iowa alone. So 1MC is such a neat thing that's happening, much larger than this, but boy, this is the best one, let's be honest. So I'm so glad. That sounds like a normal applause. Right. Now we're about to get really loud because, well, I keep wanting to get started, but let's hear a couple of words from the Science Center and our gracious host.
Yeah, I won't take too long. I'm Emily Richardson from the Science Center of Iowa, and I just wanted to welcome you all here, especially with so many new faces in the audience. We love this partnership with 1 Million Cups. How long have you been here now?
Like 3.5 years.
Yeah,
it's been a
so
while.
we love bringing in entrepreneurs and featuring the makers of our state, building that up, and hopefully inspiring some future makers and builders. So thanks for coming here, thanks for participating, and I will give the floor back to Kim.
Thank you. So as we bring Kim up, we're going to do this standing ovation, get as loud as we can. You know how we do it. This is an every week thing, but grab your phones. This is a multitasking experience, right? So if you showcase a photo or something cool on social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, use 1 Million Cups, DSM. That's going to be the account across the board. And if you show that as you exit, we've got a little gift for you. It's going to be fun sharing your experience within your network, and I got Dan retweeting everyone. So we're going to have a lot of fun showcasing this morning. But why don't we stand up and get loud for a milestone event here at 1 Million.
Well, thank you so much. And Ben, thank you for the nice introduction. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be in front of you this morning. So we'll start out a little bit formal. We have a slide presentation. I'll talk about some of the great things that we're doing in Iowa to really drive and support the entrepreneurial community. And then we get to pull in the chairs, I think, and sit down and have a fireside chat. And then Ben can ask me some of the questions that I guess all of you have been wanting to ask. But first of all, I just want to say what a great time it is to be starting or even thinking about starting a business in Iowa. Hopefully you all know, but we are fresh off a #1 state ranking according to U.S. News and World Report, and I think that deserves a round of applause. humble as Iowans, and so we know we're doing well, and we know great things are happening, but we just don't want to say it. That's just not who we are. So how great is it to have U.S. News and World Report acknowledge the great things that are going on. You know, they looked at over 70 metrics under 8 different categories, tens of thousands of data points, education, healthcare, opportunity, quality of life, infrastructure. And as I said when I was on the morning show and we announced it, I said truly what it is it's a testament and recognition of the innovative and hardworking people of Iowa and in our state who are working every single day in communities all across Iowa to make a difference. You know, as Peter Drucker, the well-known business consultant, said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I think that certainly speaks to something Iowans overall, and especially those of you in this room, are good at, and that's creating. I truly believe it's in our DNA, it's who we are as Iowans, and I see it on display every single day as I have the opportunity to travel Iowa. We don't just dream about the future. What we do in Iowa, because that's who we are, we make it happen. And even though our #1 ranking is impressive, it's just one of the many, many reasons that this is a great time for startup companies to really grow and thrive in the state of Iowa. You know, in Iowa, we're #6 in Main Street entrepreneurship among the small states. More than half of our businesses remain in operation through their first 5 years. More than 2/3 of Iowa businesses are considered small, and that means they're employing less than 50 people. We've been recognized for affordable commercial energy, especially in electricity and natural gas. I love to talk about when I travel the world, almost 40% of our electricity is generated by wind, and that's something that we should be proud of, our renewable leadership in the state. They gasp when I tell them that. They can't believe that a state in the Midwest is actually as into renewables as we are. We're the second lowest cost of doing business in the country, and we're the third best managed state. We owe our #1 ranking in part from the U.S. News and World Report to we were #1 in infrastructure, which not only included high marks for road conditions and commute time, but also for internet and ultra-fast internet access. Now, why I'm really proud of that, and we got #1, I absolutely realize that there's more that we need to do to drive connectivity in every single corner of this state. We also, one of the reasons that we got that designation is our first in the nation graduation rates. We actually are #1 for high school graduation rates in the country, and we're #3 for 4-year degrees. And that's something, too, that we should be proud of. Also, I usually tell this, and since I have the president of DMAC in the audience today, I'm always singing the praises of Rob Denson anytime I get the chance. But there's not another state in the country where the students take advantage of our community college classes while they're in high school. And again, it is about setting our young people up to succeed while helping control the cost of higher education. So that's something that we should be really proud of. State government plays an important role in supporting innovation and entrepreneurs in our state, but as you can see, we're just one of many in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Many of the organizations which are now critical partners, you know what, they didn't even exist 5 years ago. So that's the kind of growth that we're seeing, that's the kind of system that we're putting together, and we know that there's more that we can do. I continue to be excited about the momentum and the opportunity that we see in continuing to grow this motivated group of supporters. The Iowa Economic Development Authority, or IEDA, has services and programs designed to work with organizations that are serving entrepreneurs to help provide the needed funding to startups and entrepreneurs at critical points on their commercialization path. For example, Economic Development Authority administers the Angel Investor and Innovation Fund tax credit programs to encourage private investment in startup companies. And this was Debbie Durham, the director of the Economic Development Authority, has just been a driver in creating this entrepreneurial ecosystem and is continually looking for opportunities to enhance and make it better. And this was a big part of what she wanted to do in the restructure of the Economic Development Division. So you're likely, I'm sure, familiar with the traditional steps involved in bringing a business from concept to completion. Of course, it starts with an idea. The idea must be proven, developed into products that can be produced as well as and marketed. And often it's the larger companies and with the expansion or the location that gets a lot of attention in the state of Iowa. But I'm proud to say that really over the last decade or so, Iowa has really made a concerted effort to meet the needs of the entrepreneurial community as well. We know that the first few steps in this journey to commercialization are tenuous, and this is the make or break time for a new business idea. And of course, as you live it every single day, each new step comes with a different set of challenges. So that's why the state of Iowa has really created, and Deb has done a good job of this with her team, created programs that are specifically designed to support you along the way, and we like to call it our continuum of funding. We've really put a focus on the first 2/3 of the business development life cycle over the last 12 years. For example, our Proof of Commercial Relevance program that awards grants to support beta testing, intellectual property development, as well as analyzing market potential. Then we have the Demonstration Fund, which provides assistance to companies with market-ready innovations, helping them with marketing and business development to hopefully attract then private funding. The Iowa Innovation Acceleration Fund is comprised of the Propel and Expansion Award programs, and they're really targeted at companies with a validated business model and established customer base. And really together, so that continuum is intended to help close the gap between introduction and growth. Since 2011, the Iowa Economic Development Authority has invested more than $24 million in 219 different projects through these programs. And there just are a number of success stories that are resulting from these investments. I'm just going to highlight a couple. And Viewpoint Molecular Targeting is one of the companies that were able to utilize the funding program. It's based at the University of Iowa Research Park. It uses technology developed at the university to diagnose and hopefully eventually cure metastatic melanoma. They received a demonstration fund loan to support development of its lead product, which determines the location and extent of cancerous tumors in the body. Bergdog HR is another established small business helping streamline talent management services for many of the industries that we're so well known for, whether that's technology, advanced manufacturing, or engineering. And they received an Iowa Innovation Acceleration Award, which helped them build their in-house boarding services offering so that they could continue to grow their business. And then lastly, a Coralville-based company, Higher Learning Technologies, has developed a software platform that allows students and professionals to study on their own schedule via mobile device. And I actually ran into them at the John Papa John Center when I was at the University of Iowa, and much to the dismay of the one young man's parents, he was like a year out from becoming, I think it was a dentist, and decided that he wanted to start his own business. He had a problem. He was having problem studying for all those tests that he had to do, and he thought there has to be an easier way to do this. And so 1 year out, he decides to start his own business and find a solution to the problem that he was dealing with. And I have watched them grow every step of the way. We meet all the time to talk about where they're at, to talk about how we can be helpful. They actually, through an RFP, just was awarded a state contract where they're going to have help individuals that are trying to get their commercial driver's license to be able to test. And the success rates from using the mobile phone has just been phenomenal. And we're actually hoping that they can even have that incorporated into our prisons as we're helping our offenders get their HiSET or the GED and really be prepared when they get ready to move back into society. So that's the kind of things that you guys are doing every single day to solve problems and make a difference, not only in Iowans, but people around the world and throughout the country. And they received assistance through the Demonstration and Innovation Accelerator Fund. So I think you've heard the saying that it's good to be in the right place at the right time. Well, I want you to know you're definitely in the right place at the right time. And we know that when you succeed, Iowa succeeds. And that's why we're working every day to expand our ecosystem of entrepreneurship resources. And some of those include the Iowa Source Link, which is a one-stop shop that helps provide services for marketing, financial planning, technical assistance, and product development. Targeted Small Business Program, which again helps provide loans, state of Iowa procurement opportunities, education and networking opportunities throughout the state. And then we're really focused on helping a more diverse community of entrepreneurs get started. So as I wrap up here, I just want to say how excited I am about the opportunity for innovation and entrepreneurship in Iowa. I know we have the infrastructure and the programs hopefully in place to keep the momentum going. But we really know the most important asset that we have is each one of you that are willing to take the risk, to invest the capital, to believe in your idea, and to hope that it's successful. And if not, what you do is you just say, well, you learn from that, you come back and you do it again. So I so admire your tenacity and what you do every single day to not only help create jobs, but wealth in this amazing state. So thank you for what you do, and we want to continue to be a partner and help support all of your good efforts. So thank you very much.
Nice job.
Thank you, sir. Very nice. That was awesome, and I appreciate. What a neat opportunity, right? What a neat moment for us to hear from the governor of our state. It's not every day that we have someone share kind of their heart about what we're doing as entrepreneurs. I like to show, so let's make this cool, right? I don't get to sit next to a governor every single Wednesday, so I figured this.
I'm not sure he sets very long anytime.
And I saw next levels in the house. Don't worry, the electric fireplace is on point this morning. So we're going to be good to go. Yep, go ahead and take a seat. Well, I think we're going to move it a little bit closer to each other. I wasn't. There we go. Yeah. Fireside chat. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Did I mention that you're creative also?
All right. Here you go. Here you go. Let's have some fun. So we all just enjoyed the presentation, and I figure it'd be an easy way to start by asking kind of the biggest takeaway, right? When you talk about that, what hits your point of passion that you talk about, and just share some things to remember from that presentation.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think I kind of closed with that. I'm just so inspired and just appreciative of everything that you do every single day to help, drive not only job but wealth creation in the state of Iowa. And I think the takeaway that I want to leave is that, we're continuing to work every day to put an entrepreneurial ecosystem in place, but we don't have all the answers. We want you to continue to be a part of this process and let us know where we're hitting the mark and where we're not hitting the mark. We're only as good as what you need. And when I say we want to be a partner, we want to be a partner. We don't want to be a barrier. We can't do it all, but there's a role for us to play in helping you be successful. So I think that's, if I leave nothing else, don't hesitate to contact us, our office, Deb, or whatever, and help us help you be successful, because that's going to help Iowans and our state overall.
Yeah, as we talk within the community, it's always a topic of conversation as far as all the resources that we have available to ourselves. I mean, get things started with a proof of commercialization and you're off to the races. Yeah. Pairing that with the support, I liked the slide that had kind of the stages of building a business paired with how the state and the economic development has supported those things. So that's great. Thank you, Kim. So one of the things to kick things off, just because it happened yesterday, would be the Future Ready Iowa. One of the angles of young entrepreneurs and encouraging folks to build now, right? Don't wait for the piece of paper. You can build it now. Talk a little bit about your vision for how to engage younger entrepreneurs as they are ready to build.
Well, so first of all, as a lieutenant governor, one of my main initiatives was STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and the Governor's STEM Advisory Council, and with a whole host of stakeholders and great people participating in that. We're not only a national but an international leader in the program that we've put together. The legislature has been tremendously supportive. It's a bipartisan issue. Anytime we can say that, it's a amen, right? And so it's just because we know how important it is to really get these opportunities in front of our young people sooner rather than later. We've invested $37 million in STEM. That's been supplemented by the private sector. We've reached over 400,000 students. And what I love about it is they're learning sooner rather than later to be creative, to think outside of the box. It's helping to build confidence. It's helping to show them that if we don't get it right the first time, we can go back and do it again. And we've got scale-up programs that we help provide to not only teachers all across the state, but after-school programs, libraries, just wherever we can get in front of kids, and with a real focus on underrepresented and underserved, because we believe that by opening the door and having these skills, they can do or be anything that they want to be. This will be a long answer because I'm kind of passionate about it, and then I'll stop it. It's so important. I've seen kids that don't have anybody telling them they can do or be anything, and just start to do the hands-on and see for themselves. They're good at it, they love it, and they just excel. And that's the kind of pipeline that we want to be developing in the state of Iowa. I'll give you one example. I mean, this is what we're seeing, and this is what we're building. I was at a school. They were showing me all the different STEM programs that they're working on with the kids, and one of them was a makerspace. So there was a little girl, I think she was in 3rd or 4th grade, and she was participating in makerspace. And I went over to talk to her, and she had taken pillowcases, and she was making little sundresses, and she was donating the sundresses to the shelters here in Des Moines. Now, she's a 4th grader, and which was phenomenal on itself, but before I got ready to leave, she handed me her business card with the name of her company, which was Sweet Dream Dresses, her name and her contact information. And I see that all over. So how cool is that? You guys are going to be challenged because we are bringing a pipeline of innovators and entrepreneurs. Really just every day we're seeing it grow. And that's just one example of some of the things that we're seeing. And then Future Ready Iowa kind of is the next step that's kind of building on just helping Iowans see the opportunities that exist within our state, that there's multiple different paths to great careers. And again, a bunch of stakeholders came together to work on this. It passed the floor of the House yesterday, 98 to nothing. So it is an exciting thing for Iowans, and I think a lot of opportunity there as well.
Very nice, very nice. I'm so, like when I went through school in 2000, I graduated in 2004, startup wasn't a word, entrepreneurship wasn't taught. And so to see like the evolution of the educational kind of organizations throughout the state really encouraging that mindset is just beautiful. And seeing them plug into things like this and having their students present on stage, it's just invaluable experience. So I appreciate those thoughts.
Well, and they're doing stuff like this at the schools, so they've got their own version of 1 million cups, and just there's different things. So and the other thing I would put a plug in is if you ever have the opportunity to get in our schools and get in our classrooms, get in there and talk about what you're doing and how exciting it is and the opportunities that it provides, and then bring them into your business too, because if they see it, it's just the passion and the excitement, and it really engages our young people in a different way than, especially kids that have checked out. When they can do the hands-on or see or be a part of it, it just re-engages them, and I think that's so important.
See someone who's doing it in their real life and also not their teacher.
Yeah.
Someone come in, and it's fun for us being able to share the story. So that's great. That's a natural segue. I think it's interesting that you hit all these 99 counties that we have in the state, right? And so I'm curious from an entrepreneurial perspective, what you're seeing as you're going throughout all sorts of different places. Talk a little bit about that tour and what you feel like is happening from an entrepreneurial perspective throughout Iowa.
Well, I think that's where you start to connect the dots and see just actually the ecosystem that we have in place. So right here in the metro area, we just have great things going on, and we've been a leader. But when I can get in Emmitsburg, or when I can go to Pocahontas, or I can go to some of these other smaller communities, and they have actually spaces where entrepreneurs can co-locate, come together, talk about, helping each other out, strategies, pushing on, bouncing ideas off of each other. So I continue to see that happening all across the state in small and larger communities, and I think that's really important that we make that environment accessible to Iowans no matter where they live in the state. So it's been fun to do that. We go to all 99 counties every year, and it's by far the best thing that I get to do, because we really do get to see well, first of all, just amazing companies. I mean, you're so proud of what's taking place across Iowa. But it also, when I talk about, we need to know what's not working, that's a really good opportunity. I always tell them, I'm not just here to hear the good stuff. I need to know if something's not working either, and you just need to be honest, because I can't fix it. And it's not me, I don't mean me, but collectively, we can't fix it if we don't know, where the problems are. And the other thing about traveling all over is you start to see if there's some consistency in some issues. And a lot of times that's really how we put our program together for initiatives that we want to work on next year. I know Deb travels all over the state. Also, almost all of our directors of our various agencies spend a lot of time out in the state. I think that's important.
So you mentioned some of the challenges that we face. I think that's an opportunity to flip the script, and I know a lot of our conversation is so positive because it is truly positive, but what are some areas that we can improve upon?
Yeah, so I said that when you said, hey, where do we need to get better? And I said, we focus on the negative way too much. That drives me crazy. I'm trying to focus on the positive, because let's build on that momentum. But the fact of the matter is, even though we're number one, and oh, by the way, I was out in Washington, D.C. with all of my colleagues across the country, all the governors. I knew that Iowa was number one, and I couldn't say anything until after that damn meeting was over. Now, I have a hard enough time keeping secrets, but to sit there knowing that Iowa was the number one state, and I've got every governor around the table, and I can't say anything. Our meetings ended on Monday, and I had to go to New York to make the announcement on Tuesday. But I said the only satisfaction was that I know as a governor, when that U.S. News and World Report drops, every governor goes to that link to see where they're ranked. So I know they were going to know that Iowa was number one. But it was a little tough to be there and not be able to share that. But we can't become complacent, and we can't be ever satisfied with the status quo. And so, we've worked on regulatory environment. We're working on supporting the innovative and entrepreneurial system. Our tax structure is probably the next thing that we really need to take a look at, and we're ranked really low. Or high, however that is low in our environment. It's a lot of it is because of federal deductibility, so they get sticker shock when they first look at it, and they don't realize that we can actually deduct that, and the average rate is actually lower than what is projected when they take the first look at that, and sometimes they don't go down to the asterisk and see what it actually is. So this is an opportunity this year to address that in a reasonable and responsible, sustainable manner. To really make us more competitive. And so and even when I said broadband, I still travel the state, and we are not where we need to be. And if we want young people to stay in rural Iowa and stay in our communities, and in a global economy, for heaven's sakes, you can take an idea, start a business, and turn it into a successful company anywhere. And but you have to have the bandwidth and the connectivity to be able to do that. And so that's something that we need to continue to enhance and get better at.
I love our connected era. I'm curious if there's an example, perhaps, that is tackling one of those challenges that you're excited about, that you could see some evolution towards.
Yeah, well, tax reform, I think we're going to make good progress on that. We want to make sure, as small businesses and startups, I'm sure you're always worried about having the employees that you need to continue to grow and expand your company. And that's really how Future Ready Iowa fits into that. It'll kind of help ensure you that we're going to have a pipeline of talent ready to meet your need. Health insurance is something that we're working on with the legislature every single day, and with Congress. We had Secretary Linda McMahon with the Small Business Administration in, and we brought a bunch of small business owners around the table, and they're struggling for workforce, and then when you compound that with the escalating cost of health care, they want to provide that for their employees, they just can't, and so that tends to exasperate the situation because then they're not competitive. And so that's another area that we need to work on, I think.
Yeah, that was a couple of community questions all wrapped into one.
Oh, okay.
You know, you've got, well, I mean, you've got, you know, the nice job with the comfortable benefits, and you're looking to build something on your own, fueled by your passion. But how do you leave the family if the healthcare doesn't come with it? And so I know one of the questions was associated to lowering the cost of healthcare for entrepreneurs, and how can that work for small businesses?
Yeah, it's killing it. It's killing small businesses and entrepreneur and startups because of the very thing that you just talked about. So in the legislature right now, they're working on an association plan that would help group different companies and industries, and so that would help make healthcare more affordable. There's actually 2 bills that are alive and moving. And I said in the condition of the state, you know, it's still something that Washington, D.C. needs to fix, regardless of what that looks like. They need to, you know, it's just not working right now. But I can't wait. We can't wait for them to do it. And so that's why working with the legislature, we're moving forward to get something done, because it's hard enough to find workers right now, and when you can't be competitive in providing them the benefits that they need, that's another disadvantage, and it only exacerbates the problem for some of our small businesses and startups. So we're going to address it in the short term, and hopefully something gets addressed in the long term.
And in that regard, taking a little higher step, the skills gap, you mentioned that as well. And so that was another area. You know, how can we continue to bring the sharpest minds our way here in Iowa?
Well, I think you need to grab Whitney. I think we have them, and the more that we can expose them, you're going to see. And then, you know, we talk about a skills gap and getting people the skills and helping them get hooked up with a great job and a great opportunity and driving, you know, creative thinking and you know, being willing to, you know, take the risk and invest and start a new business and help create wealth. It's also a people problem. We need to, that's why, you know, that's one of the benefits of the #1 state ranking is it says to all of the country, you know, hey, we're a great place to live, work, and raise a family. We have great things going on here, low cost of doing business. One of the kids that I was working with that was starting a business said, well, this is a really great place to fail because there's such a low cost of trying. And I thought, well, I don't know if I want that on the billboard, but it is true, you know. It's true. I think we need to find a more positive way to say that. But, you know, I thought, so hopefully we can help, you know, use that in marketing and bringing people to the state and keeping our young people. So we've turned a corner, but I think the more we can match them up with the opportunities and just the talk about the opportunity to start a new business, that helps them think that they can stay here and be a part of it too.
I love our give first mentality. I think it's almost encapsulated with the 1MC vibe that we have, where the energy of accelerating others is not understood all the time, but once you feel it, it's pretty hard to beat. And so pairing that with some of the younger entrepreneurial energy and the ability to fail but then learn and churn in this environment is pretty awesome. Yeah. That's cool. One of the things that I was not as familiar with, but I thought with your statement in your state of address about the rural revitalization. We're talking a lot about the state overall. But one of the things that comes to my mind is, okay, so I'm an entrepreneur, and there's this initiative of spreading throughout the state. What are some areas that I could go make an impact and build a business to fuel this rural revitalization?
Well, so it's really important, I think, you know, that we see growth in every single corner of our state. We just can't have it happening in pockets. That's not really growing the state. And we just have amazing things happening in our capital city and in our suburbs. Okay, there we go. those communities that surround us. So just really positive things happening, but we want to have that same kind of dynamic energy and growth and revitalization happening all over the state. And so I've tasked the Lieutenant Governor with really leading the Strengthening Rural Iowa initiative, and what he'll do is bring people together, which is entrepreneurs from all over the state with different backgrounds, to take a look at what we need to do to really drive investment in rural Iowa and increase prosperity. I talk about broadband connectivity. That's another big piece of that. But I think what it really, a big piece that I see in communities that are successful and have great things going on is the leadership in the community. And so we want to make sure that we're building that next generation of leaders in communities all across the state. And so, we have to have the infrastructure in place that really gives them the confidence and the ability to take an idea and turn it into a successful business. So infrastructure, and then leadership, and just helping identify, I think, the communities that are doing a good job and helping them take that secret sauce and making it very easy to plug that into their own community, make it their own, and look for ways to keep their main streets vibrant and growing.
You mentioned infrastructure, and I'm curious, I know that we have entrepreneurs and mentors and investors and government folks here. How do you connect them all and keep the resources flowing between everything?
Yeah, well, it's important to have them all at the table and really a part of the dialogue, first of all, because they all bring a different perspective and they're very, very valuable part of the conversation. And the thing that I think we have to be careful about is, we tend to have an idea and we fund that. And then somebody comes with another idea and we fund that. And then somebody comes up with another idea and we fund that. And pretty soon we've taken our limited resources and we've scattered them across so many little areas we can't collectively really have an impact and make a difference. And so even with Future Ready Iowa, what I'm really proud about that is this is not some great new program. It really has, what we've done is taken a look at all of the existing programs, and we've identified programs that are working, and we're going to take those and enhance them or tweak them and then scale them. And so we can take advantage of economies of scale. And so I think that's something that we have to be really careful about, because anytime that you're spreading it so thin, a lot of times you have duplication. And when you have duplication, you're not really utilizing, I don't think, sometimes limited resources in the most efficient manner. And the other thing that is just so critical, we did this with the STEM Advisory Council, we did this with Future Ready Iowa, is the public-private partnerships. We need you all in here, not really just, it's not just about your money, but sometimes businesses, they give equipment, they get kids in their business, they come into the classroom, they help educators define what that workforce needs to look like. Sometimes teachers have never been in the work side of it, they've only been in academia, so even to get teachers in your realm or in your business is really advantageous, because they come back into that classroom just energized and passionate about what that looks like and really helping kids be ready for that.
You mentioned scalability, so I think that's a natural segue to talking a little bit about statewide connectivity. We've talked a lot about, but regional and nationwide and worldwide stuff. Yeah. We talked about the connected era. I mean, we have a machine that can connect to anyone. Share your vision for how Iowa can continue to impact beyond our state borders.
Well, we are leaders. We're doing it every single day. You all are doing it every day. I mean, like I said, that was a recognition of you. I mean, just our ability to create and to solve problems and to think outside of the box. I mean, when you look at the areas we're leading in, there were people in New York in the green room. I didn't see it. I had some of the people that were with me when they said, and the #1 state in the nation is Iowa. And they went, Iowa?
You're like,
and I'm like, oh yes, Iowa. What the hell? I mean, give me a break. But so we just have to tell our story. We have to talk about the areas that we're leading in and not be afraid to do it. We don't have to brag. We just have to, we do maybe a little bit. We're not, we just have to get over that humble roots that we have. But it's okay to just say, look, we're leading. We have had several, there's been a lot of people that's gone out to the work with this administration because of because of things we're leading in. They've just tapped into people that are really, the STEM initiative was one of them. Jeff Well just went out because they want to take what we're doing here in Iowa and they want to scale that to every single state in the country. So you all led on that. I mean, it's a tribute to what we're doing, and we just need to continue to do that so we can show the rest of the country how it's done here in the heartland of America.
Yeah, and for the entrepreneurs in our audience, I mentioned the fact that there's 170 of these 1 Million Cups chapters throughout the country, and there is a strategy of connecting into a community, telling your story, and building your network through sharing at 1 Million Cups. So if you're curious about taking this stage, obviously that's a unique opportunity, but heading over to Cedar Rapids or jumping up to St. Paul or heading over to Indianapolis, there's all sorts of neat opportunities to expand the message beyond our local ecosystem. That's awesome. So one of the fun questions that I thought about was, okay, so how have you viewed your career and pair it with perhaps a taste of entrepreneurship? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, well, I take a risk every single day too. So, you think you have a really good idea and you think it's the right thing to do, and sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. So that's kind of part of what I do every day. But one of the reasons I never thought I would get into politics. I just wasn't that girl in 8th grade that was just someday going to be governor. I just wasn't. But Kevin and I worked in a local government, the county treasurer's office, and I'd come from the private sector. And I am a little bit of a change agent. I like to look at how we can do things differently, and that's kind of what energizes me and motivates me. And so I just thought there was a lot of things that we could do different, and I spent a lot of time sharing those ideas with my husband. As we were having dinner with kids or whatever, I thought, they should be doing this, or we could be doing this, or I don't know why they're not doing that. And so the current treasurer decided not to run, which never happens. And I was sharing the latest saga with my husband that she's not running, and nobody in the office, I just hadn't thought about it really, is going to run. And Kevin, we have 3 daughters, and he's a very patient soul. My husband, to a point. And anyway, so he listened for a long time, and pretty soon I stopped because I talk a lot. And he said, well, Kim, this is kind of how I see this. Either you run for office and you implement all those wonderful ideas that you've been sharing with me over the last 4 years, or I do not want to hear another word about it. And I just hadn't thought about it. And I just thought, what a great opportunity to take those ideas that I had and just really put them into action. Good or bad, at least I was trying it and not just thinking about it. So it really... and it worked. Some of them worked and some of them didn't, but I got positive feedback on the ones that did. And so I thought it was just a really good opportunity. So it was rewarding. It was rewarding to be a part of that. I hope someday, I've told this to some friends the other day, I hope I get to own my own business one day. Really, when I'm done, that's really what I would like to do.
What industry are we thinking?
I don't know. I have to solve it. I have to find a problem and solve it. That's what I have to do first. But
okay.
Both of my brothers are small business owners. One lives in Colorado, and my middle brother lives here in the state. But I really just have a lot of respect. I watched them grow, and I've watched them hit some hard times and make it through. And I just would really like to do that even with my 3 daughters at some point. I think that would be just a really neat
Be
we'd
careful
either kill each other or
be careful working with family.
I don't know when, but I think that would be fun, especially I've got a couple that would be real interested.
Well, something
in that.
tells me you could go and get the proof of commercialization grant.
You think?
So.
I don't know. It's a fair process. It's a fair process.
That's great. Another fun question that comes to mind. I heard Ben Milne present at Fargo, and so my friend Greg up there at 1 Million Cups asked, what are you reading? And also maybe a theme song that you would have if it was a AAA baseball game.
Okay. Oh, golly. Well, I'm not reading anything fun because there's a lot of information that I have to read, so I'm trying to understand tax code and entrepreneurship.
So the audiobook on tax code.
I know. How fun is that? No. No. So Carrie Underwood just came out with a new song, and it actually has in the video, I know for you young people, I'm sorry, but that's pretty young for me, I'm old. It has the University of Iowa, the wave in it for the Children's Hospital, and it basically is just a motivational song that, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep trying, I'm not going to be held back. So I like it.
Yeah.
I like that. I told, oh my goodness, we had a bunch of young people that were with us, and they played the song, and I said, oh, that's perfect, and I love that the wave's in it. And I said to these, 19-year-olds. I said, it's kind of like Helen Reddy's I Am Woman. And they all looked at me like, what? Who is that? So I have to up my game a little bit on that.
Hey, you answered it well, and that was on the spot. I can appreciate that. What are some new technologies, new industries that you find especially interesting?
Well, one of the things that they talked about when we were out at NGA, and this is something I have to learn, so I'm kind of excited to learn about it because that's the other piece of my job that I like. I'm learning every day, and I really
And that was when
like
all
that.
the governors
When all the
connected.
National Governors
Yep,
Association,
yep.
sorry, came together. So we had Jenny Ramadi with IBM, and she talked a lot about AI and about blockchain, and just that is the future. And I actually we were over in Bellevue, and it was a young woman who started Time products. They do curling irons and hair products, and she markets she's not in stores, only online. She's in 56 countries around the world in Bellevue, Iowa. So this is an example of how we can do this anywhere. But she raised her hand at that when I was meeting with, when I was meeting with her. She said, what are you doing with blockchain? Because this is the future, and I need to know where you're at with that. And I thought, ooh. So I'm really fascinated in learning more about that. I think it's really going to have an impact on, food safety, and on when we talk about opioids and some of the issues we're dealing there, and just how we move our products and commodities around the world. And so I think that's something that I want to learn more about, and that's maybe another area where we can lead. So maybe understanding that and how we can implement that.
Yeah, I'm going to ask kind of a selfish question. I'm curious.
That's the limit. That's my extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, but shifting gears. From 1 Million Cups perspective, we like to think of ourselves as the front porch, the gateway into a connected ecosystem. How can we better attract folks who want to be energized in that way, and vice versa, connect with the ecosystem backwards, and so everyone's collaborating?
I just think getting in front of people as much as you can, bringing more people into, venues like this, so that you can.
So you're here next week, or?
Yeah. But here's the good thing. So when I get a chance to do things like this, I talk about it when I'm out on the road.
Sure.
So that's really an opportunity, I think, for me. And that's another reason it's important for me to visit these companies. I didn't know that this young woman had started this successful business in Bellevue. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And she really needed, her husband was an ex-hockey player from Canada, and he couldn't find a job. And so she was frustrated with the way the curling iron worked, and together they developed this really unique curling iron. So I talk about that a lot, and so now I have an opportunity to share what you all are doing as I travel, and suggest that they try to get something going like this in different areas of the state. We talked about trying to get young people in rural Iowa. Is it New Province? Is that where I was at? New Province, Iowa, town of 200 people, 6 business owners, 36 years and younger. I hope you all saw the article in the Des Moines Register, but it was the most amazing hour. We did a roundtable there, and he said when we came in, he stopped us outside and he said, "Now, I don't know how this round table is supposed to work. First of all, we have a square table. Is that a problem?" We're really flexible. This is going to be fun. Just don't get hung up on things like that. We want to learn what you're doing, and I want to bottle that, and I want to take that to communities all over the state. But, they talked about wanting to stay in their home. They talked about they couldn't have done it without the support of the community, and how they're supporting each other. And it was just, I think, 23 to 35 or 36 was the ages. But anyway, that's another great example of how it can be done anywhere.
Very nice, very nice. I feel like this has been an impactful but still casual and fun conversation. So nice work. As we kind of close things up, I'm curious to have you share just a couple closing remarks. And if some of our veterans are in the audience, we always close with our presenters sharing something that inspires them. And I encourage it to be a tweetable thought to move people through the rest of their week. And so maybe close off and just finish us with something inspiring.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're inspiring. So I'm just going to close by just saying, first of all, just thanks for being who you are and doing what you do. And I mean that. I mean, it drives me. It drives my passion. It inspires me. Just what you're doing every single day. So thanks for being a leader. Thanks for being a role model. Thanks for what you're doing for Iowans and the state. So, and the other thing I just want to lead with is, please, we want to be a partner. Don't hesitate to reach out and help us be better at being a partner for you. So keep
Very
doing
nice.
what you're doing.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Let's give Governor Kim Reynolds.
Life will have opportunity to explore its limitless diversity. Life will have no boundaries.